Alright, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Derek. Now today's episode of Gemini Mood Swings, we will be reacting to Swamp Stories, rappers from the suburbs, good kids gone bad. Let's see who been capping. Let's see who got their new era fitted on, you feel me, that snapback. Alright you guys, without further ado, let's jump straight into it.
Not of the opinion of Swamp Stories and is not to be taken as a fact. Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this episode, we dive into the upbringings of your favorite rappers. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow the Instagram page as well, where you can request videos. First, let's talk about why this even matters. But in order to do so, let's head back to the start of hip-hop music. Back in the 1970s, hip-hop music was an expression from the inner cities of New York, and every region of the US had their own style and adaptation of hip-hop music. Whether it was the West Coast, the East Coast, or the Deep South, all of these regions had one thing in common. Hip-hop music came from the streets. Authenticity was everything as a rapper, and that theme would continue for a long time. Your music had to represent your actual life and experiences, or else it was not going to be accepted. But over the last couple of decades, things have really changed. The rules no longer matter when it comes to authenticity. It's either that no one cares, or maybe people simply don't know that their favorite rapper is not who he claims to be. It could be a little bit of both, but I think the real reason for this is that rap music has a bigger audience than it ever has before. Chances are that Colton in Iowa can't tell the difference between Drizzy Drake and Pooh Shiesty. So what I'm saying is that suburban rap is a product of a suburban audience. But let me be clear, there is no problem with suburban rappers, as long as they're not trying to be something that they're not. And that's why this list will not include guys like Drizzy Drake, Childish Gambino, or Jaden Smith. This list will only include rappers that did not grow up around the life that they rap about. And that brings me back around to the original question. Why does this even matter? Who cares if the rappers are authentic as long as they're making good music? Well, I have one big issue with this, so hear me out. You are perpetrating an image to the youth that you are not willing to pay the consequences for. The lifestyle that you're glorifying in your music will influence kids who actually live in the places where they can pay the price for it. Meanwhile, you're making millions while you live in your gated community 40 minutes away from the city. Like, think about it. Those who actually grow up in these crazy environments have to mature at a young age and do what they can to survive. A lot of times, people become products of their environment. So a person who was raised in the suburbs and never had to worry about anything around them, they want the glory of the life that others had no choice but to live? That doesn't sit right with me. Swamp Stories is not going for it. And that's a big reason why I try to show everything in my videos. In music, all you see is the cool side and you don't get to see what's really going on behind the scenes. And for those reasons, I will have absolutely no mercy on this episode. So let's get into it. Number 1. The Migos.
And I'm from the north side of Atlanta, from the north, you know what I mean? We battle through injuries, we battle through all type of scars on war wounds, so.
But we from the north of Atlanta, so I'm saying that's
It's
where
Mecca.
we from.
The north where it's at.
Boy, you better know what's going on with that. All that playing with me, I don't play.
Most of you probably have the same reaction that I did. The Migos? No way, they're from the north side. Well, I did my research and there's no such thing as the north side of Atlanta. And even if there was one, the Migos wouldn't even be from it either. That's because the Migos are not even from Atlanta. And yes, I realize that Atlanta is considered to be anything within the Highway 285 circle, but the Migos are from a suburban city called Lawrenceville, Georgia. Lawrenceville is located about 45 minutes away from Atlanta. Well, so what, right? Well, Lawrenceville is one of the quietest and lowest crime cities in all of Georgia. In fact, Gwinnett County has a homicide rate of just 3 per 100,000.
Now you guys, I have a lot of family in Atlanta and they actually stay in Gwinnett County where the Migos are from. They say it's a North Gwinnett and a South Gwinnett. Now they say it does really get bad. So it's like, even though it's the suburbs and not actually Atlanta, no matter where you are, if you grow up in the African American community, even though you're at the top, everyone sees power and sees Tariq, like your family could be doing something like that no one knows about. So it's like, just because you're in the suburbs, you guys can't judge a book by its cover. Because my family from Gwinnett County say it does get bad. Like they had to put my cousin inside like the AP classes just so he could stay away from the riffraff. So you guys, like, if Migos, even though Quavo was a quarterback, stuff like that, like my quarterback got shot in school, so it's like you don't know what they going through. Like, so don't judge a book by its cover. These people like making these video swamp stories. It's like I'm not sure where they're from, but the people who even stay in the suburbs, like they living a hard life. So you can't judge a book by its cover.
An Atlanta hip-hop producer was even quoted as saying that the Migos are a media stunt. So you know what? Still, maybe this wasn't enough to convince you. Well, then I came across a video of Offset as a backup dancer for Whitney Houston and TLC. You guys can make your own judgments on him. And again, all of this is on the internet if you guys think I'm lying. So that's enough about Offset. Let's dive into Quavo now. Quavo's childhood was a little bit different. He was born in Athens, Georgia, which is the college town of the University of Georgia. Sadly, his father passed away at a young age, so his mom was left to raise him alone as a hairdresser. And that's where his cousin Offset comes into play. Offset's parents helped raise Quavo, and he spent much of his childhood with them. Quavo was a star football player at Berkmar High School in Gwinnett County. He was a talented quarterback and even broke league records in yards and touchdowns. But after high school, he chose a different path. Now, as far as what kind of path, I have no idea. But according to their music, it must have been a treacherous one. I guess they dove into the mean streets of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Anyways, now let's talk about Takeoff. Well, do we have to? Nah, not really, we'll skip him. But overall, let's be honest. The Migos are hard and they have made anthems for the past 10 years now. You can't deny their talent and that their music has been extremely influential. They're honestly some of the best rappers of our generation. But this is Swamp Stories and we stand on truth no matter what. I will call a spade even if I'm a fan of you. So that leads me to number 2, and we're keeping it in the family for this one. Saweetie. Now look, I have no idea if Saweetie portrays a street image because I simply don't listen to her music. So let me know in the comments if I'm wrong for this one. Saweetie's real name is Diamante Harper and she comes from a lineage of star athletes and performers. In fact, her grandfather Willie Harper was a star 49ers linebacker for 13.
Come on now, it's a lady. This is a lady. Like, come on, it's Sweetie. Like, she's a beautiful lady. Look at her mom. Like, her mom bad. Hey, I cannot cap. But like, I don't know why she's even on this list, so he's being biased.
Athletes and performers. Her father was a star player at San Jose State as well. And believe it or not, she's actually cousins with Gabrielle Union, the famous wife of Dwayne Wade. But none of this even matters because everyone has a different story. Saweetie apparently spent some years growing up in Hayward but moved to Tracy, California as a kid. And for those who don't know, this is a suburban community about an hour and a half from the Bay Area. After living in Tracy, she then moved to Elk Grove where she attended Monterey Pines High School. Elk Grove is a nice suburb of Sacramento. After high school, she attended USC where she earned her degree in business and communications in 2016. Now look, I'm not going to accuse her of being an industry plant because truly I don't know. But her debut song was produced and pushed by Def Jam Records A&R Max Goose. He is one of the most successful A&Rs in hip-hop and R&B history. His credits include Beyonce's Single Ladies and a large portion of her catalog. He also has most of Adina Howard's catalog, B2K, and Jhené Aiko. Now look, I'm not saying anything, I'm just stating facts. When Saweetie came out and started claiming the Bay Area, many of us were like, huh? Who is this? We definitely had never heard of her before, but there is a rapper in San Francisco who claims to just look at his shirt. If what's on his t-shirt is true, that's wild and what? But you guys let me know your opinion on this in the comments. It's starting to seem like a lot of the industry is orchestrated, but I don't know. And that leads me to number 3.
Feel me? I'm in the streets. I can't leave the streets. Like, that's where my music come from, the streets.
Man, I absolutely hate that I have to do this one because he is one of my favorite rappers of all time. And honestly, I had no idea about any of this until I dropped my 400 Bompton video. Everyone, and I mean hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the comments were like, YG is not from Compton, you got it all wrong. And at this point, I'm kind of numb to the your information is wrong comments. I get so many of them, but for this one, I really had to look into it. I was like, how does everyone know something that I don't? So for a while, I didn't really want to know anything about it because like I said, YG is one of my favorite rappers. But I did some research and found some very interesting stuff. In plenty of interviews, YG says that he's from Bompton and joined Treetops at 16 years old. And that fact is widely accepted, or at least I thought so. But in 2019, Whack 100, does anyone know what Whack 100 does? Like, why is his name always relevant? Anyways, he would make an Instagram post claiming that YG is from a suburb called Paramount. He would post an old picture of YG possibly throwing up a C, and in this post, he alleges that YG was a part of Gundry Block in Paramount. He would then post this, alleging that YG was possibly a skinny jean wearing dancer and then used Compton to start his rap career. So I went ahead and did a little research and found out that YG did go to school in Paramount, but this doesn't really mean anything. He even said it himself in a DJ Vlad interview that he went to high school in Paramount, so what's the big deal? I honestly don't think it's possible for him to false claim after all these years. His clothing line is literally named 400. How could he get away with that if it wasn't the truth? But always remember that we know the truth. Long live Draco the Ruler. And that leads me to number 4. Tyga. Well, this one shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but when Tyga started his career, it was Compton everything. But then an old MTV video would hit the internet in 2012.
MTV, it's your boy Tyga, aka one of the greatest. Tyga, I got this name when I was young. My mom used to say I looked like Tiger Woods, so I just stuck with that. Grew up, not too tough. Parents got a Range Rover, CL600, doing it big. Not too much hard, but I'm still street. Yeah, it's TYGA. They say I'm not hood cause I stay in the valley. They say I never been in the alley. I tell them cats, I've been in the alley.
Despite the video, Tyga would, well, according to TMZ, let's keep that in mind, he would say that he was lying in the video and that he's actually from Compton. But just recently, his former associate T-Rel would make plenty of interesting comments on the No Jumper podcast.
He's respected right now in the music industry in Los Angeles, California. I let him build that rapport with other people. I walked them in these rooms and made them feel comfortable because of where I was from and what I was doing. You feel me? Like, at first when I met that, he was just getting robbed every other.
Shout out Skinny Cuz, Adam22 and the No Jumper podcast.
You feel me? And
robbed like somebody run up in the crib, or robbed like
he got
pistol
his
in the
chain.
face?
Like, no, he got his chain snatched. Then Gator got his chain took. Then, you know, it was just too much. It was too much on the internet already, like YouTube.
Well, at the end of the day, he wins, he's rich, he's successful, so it all worked out. Just like everyone else on the list, they are laughing their way to the bank, and I will not hate on that. I just wish they didn't have to perpetrate a street image to be respected in the rap game. But actually, that's probably a myth, because people will respect you for just being you. That's going to wrap up the video, so make a like and subscribe.
Okay, my thing about this video is Swamp Stories wants people to be like drill rappers and go out there and actually rap about it and snitch on themselves, which is not smart. That's like, he actually wants, this is one of the worst things for the African American community. He wants us to go out there and murk each other. He want us to go out there and delete each other. Why? It don't make sense. Instead of just rapping about it and making up stories and be from the suburbs, he's trying to diss us from that. No, we should do that versus going to actually murk someone, going to actually delete someone. That's not a good thing to actually do. But he wants us to do that. Or don't rap about it at all. I understand that, but hey, like, I'd rather someone portray a life that they don't live and rap about it versus someone going to actually out there and murder someone. Who's doing the worst damage? See what I'm saying? Because everyone listening to it should believe it's a lie anyway. If you doing it for real, you the fool. You see what I'm saying? It's your boy Derek. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Make sure you guys miss those Swamp Stories. Hey!